Hey, how's it going? Um, I am going to read you some cards, but I would like you to first look at some signs. Okay, that's enough looking at signs. So, okay, that's not right. I have a peculiar thing happening. It just pulls my clothes to one side, and I just fixed it. It's not fixable, really. Like what I'm doing, that's so temporary. Anyway, before I start, I just want to talk about something that happened. It happened once in the past 2 days in as many days. It happened one time in as. It happened twice in as many days. I think that's the right way I want to say it. So the other night, and I don't know what this means, but I feel like I have to tell you about it for some reason. So I have food and water, like whatever cat food I put out on my rear deck porch little deal, and a little tub of fresh water for stray cats and people. Sometimes people have dogs and the dogs want some water. I don't care if they have water. Or raccoons, possums can eat the food. I don't really care. It's just out there for whatever's walking by that's hungry for something like that. So I was out there the other evening putting the water out, and I had brought an empty tub to replace the one that was out there. So, I would swap them out and clean the one that had been outside, blah, blah, blah. So the one that I brought to put out to replace the old one, I realized when I got there, I had a can of cleanser sitting in this with like chlorine bleach in it. So I thought, I didn't sprinkle it in there. I didn't clean it with the cleanser. I have dish soap for that, So it just ended up getting sat down inside of this empty container. And I thought, well, just to be on the safe side, I'll just use some of the water that I brought with me. I give them filtered water, and I brought it over in a bottle. So I poured some of the water, little bit, into the bowl from the house that had the cleanser in it, and swooshed it around. What is that? And, did that a couple of times just to make sure there was no debris in there. And I did it like 3 times. So the third time I went to throw it out onto the grass, and I don't know what I did, but I guess I pulled back the bowl like before all of the water was out or something. But what I ended up doing, instead of making it go out to the grass, it ended up going straight up and coming back down on my head. So I usually do this food and water thing like at night. So it was definitely after midnight. It was cold is what I'm getting at. So I ended up, I was already cold, or to begin with, to be out there, and I was in a hurry, which is probably why it happened. And I had just taken a shower before that, not just before, probably like 2 hours before that, and my hair takes a really long time to dry, like almost a whole day. And so it was almost dry. It was well along in the drying process, so I was not happy that it thoroughly soaked the top of my head. Like none of it went out. It just, it was only like this much water in a container about that big around, but still enough to just soak the top of my head. So what was I supposed to do? What can I do? You would get mad? So that happened, and then yesterday, so this was day before yesterday, then yesterday, I'm reaching the cabinet. As you can see, I'm in my kitchen, and I reach up in the cabinet in front of me to grab something, and I go to put it back, and I'm just sort of, it's kind of crowded in there, and I just kind of gave it a shove, And this other bottle popped out of the other side and landed on its base, but the top flew off, and thank God it wasn't full of liquid. It was a jar of dried tomatoes in oil, and it just popped out of the cabinet, slammed onto the counter on its base. The top came off, oil went everywhere, in my hair, all over my clothes, in my lap, on the floor. It spilled really bad, and like it got on the bottom of my socks, and I didn't realize how far it had spread until I actually like backed up and moved out of here and had a light on. I found two, they're julienne dried tomato pieces. I found two of them in my hair, which was not pulled back like it is now. There was a few on my shirt. They were like distributed randomly, like a dang Easter egg hunt all over this counter. They were on the floor beneath me. They were on the floor behind me. They were stuck to the wheels, and I didn't realize it. Like, I cleaned the floor a number of times because oil also just came flying out with the lid and the tomatoes. It was a mess is what I'm saying. But again, I mean, I smelled so good until I got back in the shower yesterday, but good enough to eat. I just was like baptized 2 different ways, so I just wonder, like, I don't know, maybe I should look and see if there's something to that. Oh, here's my notes. Search baptism. It's not like a normal type of baptism. Either one, really. Circus baptism, both of them. Okay, so anyway, I pulled 2 cards, back to the cards. And the first card I pulled was Moon Maiden, and the subtitle is New Beginnings. It's the number 41 card. I believe it's 41. Yeah, 41. Why don't you just like get a load of that? As you can see, there is a bird person, feather person on there, the Moon Maiden, and well, she's having some kind of interaction with the moon there. Like, it's affecting her in some kind of way. I just think it's amusing a little bit because I believe it was 2 days ago now. Wait. Oh, it was probably more. I don't know. There was recently a full moon. I want to say it was 2 days ago, but I feel like now that I think about it, it's probably more like 6 days now. This is still affecting my mind, obviously. Oh, at least I'm not flying up in the sky, trying to kiss the sky. No shade. Oh, 4 plus 1. Regarding the number at the top is 5. Indicates change in many cases. That's what we're going to go with right now, because it kind of rings true with the whole new beginnings thing. And well, you know, the moon cycle, is the full moon like the culmination of the whole cycle before it restarts? I believe so. Interesting that it goes through stages before it's like at the penultimate point at the end of its cycle. Not unlike life. And so we'll just put that as well. Should I read the what did I do with the guidebook? Is that it? I'm gonna hold off on reading this and move on to tell you about the other card I pulled, which was the hummingbird card. And it has the air energy, which is indicated by the symbol at the top of the card, the triangle with the line at the top of its across its top pinnacle. For God's sake, put too much pepper in the pepper pot. Couldn't quite pepper that out. And You should know this if you are above the age of like 10, but obviously air sign and bird. The bird is flying, but what I'm trying to get out is they have a lightness about them. But birds have hollow bones, I believe, as a general rule. I don't think I've ever heard of a bird that does not have hollow bones. So let's just go with that. I'm just noticing for the first time that behind that burst of brightness that the bird is silhouetted by, around the rim of the bright is rainbow colors. Wow, it was hard to get there. I never noticed that before. I just feel like it's sort of like the circle of life is what I'm getting. Like all of the colors just are indicative of like all life, and the burst is like birth or something. Whoa. So but the hummingbird, when I looked up the spiritual significance of it, I found that, oh shoot, I wish I could. Okay, so light bringer, joy, hope, indication of spiritual, I think like uplifting or leveling up, like moving up a stage. I will actually write down exactly what it said in the information box about this, but I didn't really expect a lot of the spiritual the words that were listed to indicate, that I've said indicate too many times already. That word is fired now, to show like what words symbolize spiritually the hummingbird. So I'll have to just go back and consult the list that I looked at, because I can't right now since I'm rolling. Oh wait, can I? I'll just do it after. Yeah. But I will read what it has to say here in the guidebook for the deck that I pulled the card from, which was the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck. I don't think I mentioned that before, but let's see what the guidebook has to say about the hummingbird. Positive, enthusiastic, spiritually resourceful. Inside the tiny hummingbird resides an endless well of energy and positivity. The hummingbird's secret is that it has learned where to gather nectar, and it returns to these sources daily for nourishment and rejuvenation. The sacred elixir springs from many sources, but usually involves nature, creativity, and exploring spirituality. Follow the way of the hummingbird, and you cannot go wrong. Every droplet of life becomes sweet, every moment worth savoring. When in balance, smart, curious, loves to learn. When out of balance, pushy, insistent, sharp. To bring into balance, take a class. Huh. That's some interesting advice. I won't be taking a class. Just saying. So, well, the reason why I was kind of surprised, although I don't know why I shouldn't have been. I don't know why I was. I should get it by now. It shouldn't be a surprise, but the spiritual stuff about the hummingbird, before I looked at those things, I was thinking that if you're gonna like sort of anthropomorphize yourself as the hummingbird, or if I were to do so, I should say, I feel like it's the try and try again bird. Succeed, fail, either way, just gonna still keep trying with endless persistence. And like maybe a hummingbird, because they expend a whole shit ton of energy. And that's why their diet is basically sugar. Just sugar. That's all they need, because they're just all, well, you know how they are. So, couple of things. I feel like if I were the hummingbird, it's very much the way I kind of approach life. Like, I try to move forward, being positive, because it is kind of my general nature. And by positive, I mean, like, I'm like generally friendly. I want to be helpful. I'm not gonna just, knee-jerk be an idiot to you if I don't know you, or even if I do. Like, I kind of need a reason to act out, like always, or just a reason to have that kind of negative feeling about someone. Like it takes provocation. Generally, everyone's cool until they're not, as far as I'm concerned. But, maintaining that is tiring, and people are not always on the same page with you. Like, they're not, like, necessarily thinking about how the interaction with you and themselves is making the other person feel. And it might not matter, and there's a lot of reasons that could be, but just put that aside as their stuff. For me, it's like, the positive response, you always want that. That's optimal. That's the best thing you could hope for. But you don't always get that, or, you don't know what you're getting sometimes. Like, sometimes people are just non-committal. And sometimes it doesn't, like, whatever other people are doing doesn't matter, because you're not directly interacting with them. You're just, like, in the same world, in the same place at the same time, maybe, and you encounter one another. You come across people sometimes that way. And sometimes you don't do anything more than vaguely notice their physical presence, maybe exchange eye contact or a word. But, it's really up to us how much we want to, how direct we want to be with other people in our environment. So, what I'm getting at, though, is I want to come correct, basically. I don't want to bring, like, a bunch of caca with me places. But at the same time, I'm not gonna not notice it, not, like, look at it and go, I feel like I need to know more about that, because I am a curious cat. But all of those things, like I said, are tiring. And for me personally, possibly because I also have, like, a sort of a physical thing going on that takes a lot of energy that I got to spend directly on myself before the illness came along. So let's just say I operate on impulse power a lot of time, and sometimes I gotta go, like, plug into my charger and go take a nap or whatever. And I was thinking that's kind of like how a hummingbird is. Like, they, like bees, kind of spend their whole days chasing down that sugar. Like, both of them, like junkies a lot, but chasing down, like, it's like they gotta continuously have it, almost, because they expend so much energy. Even though they're both very small and light, their output is huge, like this burst of light. Like, imagine that's just, like, built up hummingbird wing power that just, from the air is just grabbing it, and the interaction is just this burst of energy. And the hummingbird, this little hollow bone little light thing, created that. And when you see what it had to say in, like I said, what I want to put in the information about box about the hummingbird, it's kind of like, that's like a big mantle for this little little piece of fluff. So they have to feed constantly, and then they go off and do whatever. But I mean, at some point they go into their nests and sleep. And I don't know if you've ever seen a hummingbird nest, but I think it kind of looks like a dirty sock hanging, made out of sticks and dust. It's like a weird thing. Maybe bird spit or poo. I don't know what the clay. Maybe I need to watch a documentary. I don't know. But I feel like there's more to these guys than meets the eye, in like so many like dimensional ways. So what was I thinking about earlier that had to do with the multiverse? I was thinking about, so I have been watching, this is what I wanted to talk about in the beginning, besides my baptism. It is where it is. I've been watching, or rewatching, I should say, the series based on a novel, or a series of novels, I guess, called The Expanse. The series is called The Expanse. And it's a space opera, which is my jam. And it's funny, because a lot of people are like, gotta get to space. Like, space is where humanity belongs. Space, 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 space. And then there's like all the rich guys with their rocket agencies, and if you've seen The Expanse, you'll understand why I'm bringing those guys up, because it shows basically we're at the start of what The Expanse is, like a potential timeline for humanity. Like, it's what could be for us as people in space. And I really enjoyed it, like, the first time, and I'm still enjoying it. And I really got to read the books, because that's the way to go. You read the books first, but I didn't know it was a book, so got to do it backwards. But anyway, the society in space, they're like, everybody's human. Like, all of the characters are humans, and like everybody's the same species, but Earth has like a Mars colony, and it's at the point where it's like, we're not a part of you anymore, Earth, and we're doing that thing that I guess we like to do as humans, and fight each other. And it's like fight against ourselves, even though we all want the same, we're after the same goal, but we're so still in this projected future that pushy, elbowing other people aside species of human, like, without care and compassion and concern. And a lot of it takes place in space, where you're either, your life is on a ship, or you're a belter and your life is on like a station that's floating in space. But it's not the same as being on a planet where you don't have to manufacture like air and gravity and water and growing spaces and things like that. And also, you can like open a door and a window and not get sucked outside and die because there's no air. It's like not space. There's like a whole level of safetiness on a planet. And so Earth and Mars are battling with each other, and the belters that don't live on a planet are kind of stuck in the middle, and they are struggling to, like everything, stay alive, have enough air, have enough water for all of the people, deal with all of the personalities. Like, you gotta have the types that'll run things, the people that'll be at the top of agencies and organizations, and there's so much people work to be done. And it just kind of makes me sad, because on this side of the screen, in reality, like right now, in this moment, it's like an important time for humans in general on Earth, because excuse me, It's really a time where people in this world have to make decisions about what kind of people we want to be and what kind of societies we want to live in. And like, now's the time to decide, like, what are you for? Are you for life, love, and compassion and free living humanity, happiness, cooperation? Or are you for basically being a follower? Because there's going to be so few telling people what to do and taking resources, and people will qualify as those part of those resources. So I don't know what people who want to follow these authoritarian, totalitarian, whatever types, that it just ends up being like a suck on resources, like money and whatever can be sold, and people are used like a commodity that doesn't think and feel, so doesn't get a right, like no rights. That's where those head. And then, what I was talking about first, like every way but not that, like every way to avoid those things, every way to not do those things, like two different mindsets. Which world do you want to live in? We're kind of like there now. So thank goodness things, for once, I'm like glad things will take place in small, slow increments, because I want people to really decide, like, what is the future that you want. And then if you are one of those people with a family, then you're going to be looking ahead maybe and thinking, like, what is your family, each generation that follows yours, going to be in for? So, I mean, if those things matter to you, now is the time to seriously think about, what are you okay with? What are you going to, like, let pass or not? And it's a daunting thought, because really it's a moment where we got to, like, kind of drop everything and go, this is important. This is something to pay attention to and to get involved with. And who cares if you're busy, make time for it, because later it's going to be too late to, like, you're not going to be able to change anything. So I had a thought when I was in the middle of that, and it is, when you approach the idea of like making your decision, like, what am I for or not, keep in mind that with the whole incremental thing as well in mind, that nothing is going to happen immediately, okay? But that being the case, don't start off thinking, like, if you don't want, like, say, we'll just call it the Trump people future. If you don't want that, then you don't have to start thinking, like, what can I go do? First, get your mind right. Like, get your mindset where, you're like, okay, I know that I don't want that thing and I do want this. Like, that's the place to start. And then I feel like what you can do will come to you gradually, because you can go look, like, you'll figure out, like, how can I contribute? Like, is it going to be financial? Can I volunteer time? Do I want to maybe run for office? I mean, even like going that far can get you rolling, basically, can start you on a momentum. And because things will move slowly enough while you're informing yourself about stuff that maybe you weren't aware of, now is the time to do that. You have time, but do it. Like, don't wait, because next thing you know, you'll be saluting a Trump or something, like a Nazi, and I know I don't want to do that. So if you also don't want to do that, it's not going to be easy by any means. I'm not going to pretend that, because it just won't. Changing people's minds, it's not like there's a way to do it, and it's not by force. Put it that way. When people can be shown what's good, then that's what they'll gravitate to. So I'm just saying, if you decide like, oh my gosh, you're right, this is what we have to start thinking about right now and like doing something about, don't think that you have to go accomplish the biggest thing first. Start small, build up, and that's effective because you will have a foundation and you will build confidence, and you're like learning on the fly, and there's like a healthy way to do it that will feed you and lead you to others like you and to ways to accomplish what you would like to accomplish. If you would like to like not live in a like a Nazi flavored world in the future, I know I don't want to. So this card, I am going to read the guidebook, and it'll explain, I hope, better what I'm getting at here. I know that the moon has a cycle. Women have a cycle. It's interesting that our birth equipment is so tied to the lunar cycle and the movement of water in that cycle. And in tarot, water represents emotion, and so that's it's not just women that are affected by it, and men do have water content as well. I couldn't even begin to describe what that process is like for them, but I know they're affected also. And also, like, do you ever think about, like, when we get heated emotions, what do you think happens to our internal liquid when we get hot? How do you think boiling affects us? Like, do you think it's good to have boiling blood on the brain? No. But I'm just saying that all of that, I'm thinking of moods, okay? And how we can be affected by them, and if we let ourselves get swept up by them. And I'm not going to say that that's... I get carried away on the waves sometimes. But, like the hummingbird, it's us mixing amongst each other, and we have to, like, go and deal and have our jobs and do our out in public stuff and have occasional face-to-faces that we want to, or that just happen incidentally or by accident or whatever, or some that we have to because we're contractually obligated to, like it's our job or something like that. But we always need to come away and go back to the flower and suck some more sugar and or go to the sock and sleep, whatever it is. But we have to recharge ourselves, and this to me speaks of like every month a whole new set of emotional information. Intelligence comes from HQ, Moon HQ, and it needs to be processed, and you still gotta, like I said, do your life. So it's a real kind of ebb and flow thing that I don't know, for me it's like the roller coaster thing that I'm not real comfortable with at all, but it just is a part of life. You can't, like, not have... It's like trying to live life without gravity. Well, you can't do that on this planet. So you have to find a way. And I feel like I'm saying all of that just because, like, I feel like the next year or two really is... Well, let's just stick with the next year, okay? It's going to be exciting and emotional in a lot of ways. And it's going to affect a lot of people, and we're going to affect each other. And those things are like spurred on and off by like our level of energy. Like, do we have enough? Because we have to contend with our life stuff, and then all of the stuff we're sort of not really aware of that is subconsciously happening to us or unconsciously happening to us or around us. So it's like happening to us in that way. And then there's like, we don't really know what's going on. Like, it takes some investigation or, you know, like minute examination, or maybe you gotta like step back and take that rest and sleep on it. And maybe it's not even that you gotta figure it out like the detective, but just like figure out your place in things so that, you know, you can sort of deal with whatever that potential situation is, you know, to the best of your ability, but also like for your own protection in the best way that you can sort of experience it and not like have it completely taken everything out of you in some way or rob you of anything. Because mainly, think before you act, okay? The ebb and flow situation, I'm just saying, like, I'm not going to say it again. I think I kind of stumbled my way through that. I hope that makes some kind of sense. But I mean, maybe you like roller coasters. Like, Spirit says, like, make it fun, enjoy it. It's emotional, and terrible, and horrible, and you're gonna feel this, that, and the other thing. But it doesn't have to be horrible and bad. I know it just seems crazy to say that, but there's always something to get out of it. Like, once the initial shock wears off, kind of thing. Yeah, still trying to work that into a, like, wait, how's that fun? I'll get there. I can do it. Okay, so I'm going to read what the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck guidebook has to say about the Moon Maiden card. Moon Maiden, new ideas, beginnings, curiosity. Do I got it? Do I understand it? Nope. Go away and think about it a little bit and come back and try again. The Moon Maiden arrives to offer you a new beginning, a new face and facet of yourself that is aching to be shown to the world. Those qualities that you have been quietly cultivating are ready for the limelight. The secrecy was important, for it protected you. For it protected your new face and kept what was precious close to your heart. But now it is time to come forward in full splendor. Announce the new you to yourself first. Reveal it slowly to the world. Like the waxing moon. You know, you might not get the message at first. You might have to go away and, again, sleep on it or get in that meditative state, like get out of the now and like float away so that your mind can, you know, make connections and things without the interference of your conscious mind sort of battering the discovery process with useless information. Allow others to be surprised by how mature and grown up this side of you is. Now it's time to set yourself free. The Moon Maiden belongs only to herself, and she is summoning the parts of you that challenge convention, that refuse to be intimidated, and that cannot be tamed or put inside a golden cage. Okay. The Moon Maiden invites you to shine with your own light, to have radiant curiosity, and to ask anyone who offers you a mouthful of dogma What you talk about, Willis? No, really. It's just, why do you believe that to be so? Question everything others assume is a given. Well, you gotta be careful about that, because people get all bent out of shape if you question them, and they want to fight you, and it's not always relegated to a verbal debate. You have to really think about what you're going to be saying to people if you're going to be disputing with them. Just saying. Caution is not stupid. The Moon Maiden invites you to shine with your own light, to have radiant curiosity. Oh, I already read that. Sorry about that. Become an unpredictable being, yet an eminently reliable friend. Become an unpredictable being, yet an eminently reliable friend. That just is really, there's a lot of syllables. It's a little chunky. A lot of corners. It's fine. Where was I? The Moon Maiden invites you to answer only to yourself and reminds you that you are not anyone's property. See, yeah, like the non-authoritarian, totalitarian business, that's how you stay off being people's property. Be true to your soul's calling, even if some around you in a relationship or a job want to capture your life inside a bottle, or your light rather, but your life too, that's what they want. The they state. You know how to rise to the occasion just as unfailingly as the moon does. Well, yeah, I mean, we all just kind of have to keep going. When the time comes, you must return to darkness and become enshrouded in mystery until you are ready to return. I don't know that I've ever been very mysterious to anyone. It seems like people have always been able to see right through me. It has been a pain in the butt, to be honest. Whoa. Back up there. Oh, so I guess I'm done. So if I can just distill the main message here. Whatever comes, you're gonna still come at everything like the Energizer Bunny, battery or not. We cannot be kept down. Even if we get to our lowest points, eventually we dig ourselves out of the holes and find ways because you have to do the rest of the world, and the rest of the world does stuff, and everything affects everybody somehow. I had the thought earlier that it was so much like the butterfly effect thing, because it is a little tiny thing can happen in one place and it seems like it would be completely unrelated, but by the time it makes its way to the other side of the world, because cause and effect, something happens and then something else happens because something happened, and that affects people, and it just moves along like something that goes continuously forward, a train, a car, I don't know, but it has momentum and movement, and once it's going, it's just going. It's like people playing that telephone game, gossiping and sending the word around. That's us affecting each other, and then we all have our biases, and things happen where they happen, to whom they happen to, and who knows who's gonna get triggered by what, in what way, when, or where. But it's gonna happen. That's about what you can count on. So You know, you gotta like replenish your energy as needed. If you gotta eat something that keeps you going, or if you gotta mentally replenish your stores. Not unlike any other time, but I feel like there's some exciting stuff happening that's is quite unusual, at least in this country, and I'm sure in other countries there are people that are going, what the ever-loving F is going on here right now? But, you know, like I was saying, like maybe you don't have to be the detective and figure out every single thing. Maybe you're most effective when you start at home, start with yourself, and work out Fred. It's Alfred from Batman's Scandinavian cousin, Alfred. Yeah, anyway, now I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Just, we're gonna have to write it out. I guess I'm just offering tips. Just the tip. Thank you and good night. Oh my God.